Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4, and today spawning in the northeast corner of the map playing in blue we've got marinelord playing as the Abbasid dynasty, and his opponent in the southwest playing in red we've got lucifron playing as the Malians. Welcome everyone to Coastal Cliffs. Hope you guys are having a great morning, good afternoon, good evening wherever you are around the world. Have two of the very best players battling it out in Age of Empires 4 with two great civilizations, the Abbasid dynasty and the Malians. And with Coastal Cliffs being maybe, I guess, a miniature Dry Arabia in a way, it's kind of sliced and diced up a little bit. It's kind of Dry Arabia, but they kind of have this coastal cliff situation going on. Now, you can't actually gather the food from the shore, or the deep water fish, rather. It's just there for aesthetics, I guess. And on the map, one thing to consider is something that's a little bit different from Dry Arabia is that whilst you do have a good starting gold, the stone veins are a little bit further out. Take a look at this. This is the closest stone vein, apparently, for the Malians. Now, you might be wondering, why is that so significant? Maybe not so much significant for the Malians, but it's definitely significant for the Abbasid dynasty if they are thinking about going for a second town centre. Bear in mind as well, I think this civilization matchup is an interesting one on this particular map because this map does seem to favour the civilizations that are kind of less cavalry based. Maybe a bit more boom approach. The reason why is because there's less angles to attack with. The map is a bit more condensed, less angles, less places to be hit, to be fair. And so a second town centre for the Abbasid dynasty could be a nice option. Going to go for the miniature wing as the Abbasid dynasty. Very common opening into miniature wing, going to the second town centre. After that, potentially we have to see what is played out by marinelord. I think the tricky situation is going up against a Malian player that possibly could be cow booming. There are some civilizations that like to do their own thing. They like to just play their game plan, and it's all about the other civilizations denying them. And I think Malians is one of them. I think Malians is one of the civilizations that loves to do certain things, like cow boom, and it's always up to the enemy to try and stop it. Because an uncontested cow boom is a dangerous thing, so the Abbasid dynasty will look to try and force the Malians into making units. Now, having said that, the Malians' army is pretty decent. They've got some really good specialized units. They've got the Donsos and the javelin throwers. Overall, it's a tricky situation when you're going up against the Abbasids, right? Because in theory, the javelin throwers should be incredibly good against the archers. But factor in if the Abbasid dynasty do go for archers, which is quite commonplace because they do get boot camp, increasing the infantry health by 15%. Then also composite bows in the castle age increases the attack speed of archers. So bearing that in mind, I would love to actually do a test how much actually that plays a role against javelin throwers. I think javelin throwers probably should still end up winning, but perhaps not as much as you'd think. Either way, you guys have certainly been enjoying the content because I've seen it on YouTube. The metrics don't lie, numbers don't lie. So I want to say a very big thank you for your support, guys, on YouTube and on Twitch. Really, really appreciate it. All the support you guys give me goes a long way to help me keep on pumping out Age of Empires 4 content. And the miniature wing opening for the Abbasids is here with 2 spearmen and 2 archers on the field, which lucifron is keeping an eye on, just checking on what could be coming his way. That forward pit mine could be under pressure soon. There's the Golden Age Tier 1 for the Abbasid dynasty, going to be increasing the gather rate of the villages by a really nice 15%. It's a good bonus for the economy, that is for sure. Antiquary, going to be getting a bit of gold trickling in every few minutes. Well, every minute really. And here comes out the pressure. I mean, it's not the case that marinelord will do sort of significant eco damage, but it's going to just put some torch damage on the field and force some enemy units out in the form of an archer. Okay, interesting. One is actually opting for archers. Maybe looking to get poison arrow. I don't know how I feel about that. It's an interesting approach for the Malians. Don't often see this unit being made when they have access to javelin throwers. The house is built in a chain to the stone just to join up the mining camp. Got a lot of population availability now. Obviously he wants that extra 15% of the Golden Age tier. And he's certainly looking to get that second town centre. So we're talking about the early stages of the game, how that the stone is very far out, but marinelord makes it work anyway. So already got fresh foodstuffs, giving a cheaper villager production. It's going to go for the second town centre on the deer camp and also the berries nearby actually. It's a nice spot. Now going for second town centres is always a little bit tricky. You don't necessarily want to place it too far out, but it feels like this is a spot that's just too good to be missing out on. And he does have a couple of units after all to try and deal with this push coming in for lucifron. Spearman going to get some good value with the archers pushing this back, but good micro for lucifron to pull away that weak archer. Going to try and maximize the damage on the spearman as much as possible, but ultimately the town center will go up. And that's what really matters in this situation. Although with the javelin thrower now, that's kind of a problem. Scout going to try and force down the archer. Does get it in the end there, so good usage of the scout. But yeah, the town center will go up in the end. And of course, now what matters from here is how many villagers can marinelord make. How much of a lead can he get on that regard? But in the meantime, maybe the cow boom will start to come in here for the malians. How's it going, Master of the Templar? Welcome in on the Twitch side of things. If you guys are watching on YouTube later thinking, what am I talking about? Well, I am streaming live on Twitch these days as well, so it's worth checking out if you are interested in live streams. I do actually stream live on YouTube on occasion as well. Not my main Age of Empires 4 channel, but on a separate dedicated live streaming channel for YouTube. I'll leave a link in the video description. Probably worth checking out if you're interested. Hope you're doing well, Master of the Templar. Welcome on in to what hopefully is going to be a cracking game between marinelord and lucifron. Alright, 3 archers, 2 javelin throwers. Going to be making their way back. The early skirmishes are pretty much over now for both players, and going to settle down now into the more overarching strategy, which looks actually for lucifron to be a bit more aggressive. Looking to get some donzos on the map. Maybe he's going to go for a feudal age push and aggression, so maybe it's his turn to say, hey look, the abbasids, you want to go to town centers? Not on my watch. I'm going to try and stop you. Scout getting a little bit too close for comfort there. Looks like the berries are going to be harvested as well for marinelord with a nice mill going to be going to boost up the berry bushes. Gives an additional 100 food. Villagers garrison inside, pushing the army back, and it's going to be the FARIMBA garrison. Okay, we have seen lucifron do this in times before with the tournament settings, and it looks like it's going to be doing it once again. The FARIMBA garrison coming out for the malians. No such cow boom today. Going to try and catch the Abbasid dynasty off guard. It's kind of an interesting approach, right? I'm not so sure how I feel about this because he can only make infantry units, so he's going to be able to make archers and javelin throwers and also donzos and Musafadi warriors. The kind of problem with that situation is apart from the javelin throwers, everything else is kind of countered by Abbasid dynasty archers with boot camp and composite bows. Not that you can get composite bows just yet. So yeah, it's an interesting one because this one will have veteran upgraded units up against feudal age units for some time. But I think if marinelord spots this, and he's going to know about it now, right? He's going to think, huh? What? That timing is crazy. So I suspect now he might be looking to try and rush up castle age himself. The only concern is that, of course, with 2 town centers, even with fresh foodstuffs, it can be a bit tricky keeping them both running and getting to castle age at a good time. But fresh foodstuffs certainly does help. And the concern is that he actually has a barracks and an archery range, which is kind of relatively redundant now. If he had a stable, it would have been a totally different story. Could add in some soffer. I like this approach though from marinelord. Is just using a couple of horsemen, which wouldn't necessarily ordinarily get much value, but forcing the malians to send units to chase on after. Let's have a couple of donzos, which do use the ranged throwing of the spear to get some damage and hits in. And he's pumping here, lucifron, getting another batch of donzos on the front lines, and it's going to come down to the timing push and how quick it can be and how much damage it can do. Villagers going to be garrisoning inside. In fact, the archers, I like that play actually. I think he's using his archers and miniature units just to garrison inside, just so he gets the arrows out, but he doesn't, hamper his economy in any meaningful way. And he's adding a lot of production, so it looks like it's going to be feudal age play here for the abbasids and just pump out as many units as possible and then push on out. Not necessarily a bad approach because ultimately, it's just veterancy on what is existing rather. Of course, we need to be careful. There's a lot of donzos, and they could even throw their donzo, spears potentially. The archer's picking them off though. This one having to back away, which is not ideal, and he can't really even push on out, which is not really what you want in that situation. That's just going to get worse with the economy that marinelord has. Like, lucifron needs to hit him hard soon. He's finding it difficult. Archers are heading on forward, but so are the archers for the Abbasid dynasty. It's such a strong unit for them. Donso's trying to shield their archers out from the malians. Has added in a couple of jump throws as well, so it's going to be a little bit tricky to micro here for marinelord, but I'll tell you what, marinelord is no stranger to micro, and in fact most of the units here in terms of range units for the malians are in fact javelin throwers. I'm going to focus firing on the archers as much as possible, but marinelord is still pushing on out, and the longer the game goes on, marinelord should be in a good spot. Although having said that, the veterancy units are starting to pick up the kills they need. So marinelord has to be careful not to overcommit. He needs to keep his villagers working. But the longer this villager lead continues, he's going to be a good spot. I think he's going to give up this position actually. In fact, going to pull the villagers away. That's more than that can garrison inside the town centre. He's gathered what he could. And now he's feeling the pressure. I wonder if lucifron might be thinking about getting a ram or two. Does have a blacksmith. Has not yet got siege engineering. He can afford it though. So it's potentially something we will see. Adding in a mosque for some of those relics. Needs those imams out ASAP. Better just garrison inside the town center. He actually took out the scout, which is nice. Going to hamper the scouting vision for these units. Going to dive in with his... He's going to try to torch this down. I'm not so sure about this. He doesn't have enough. I mean, sure, they're veteran units, but I mean, if the horsemen get on top of the javs, and if the archers get on top of the donsos, it's going to be a problem. But donsos, they do use their range attack, and so dish out a lot of damage on the horsemen. Still fighting in the trees. The horsemen, one gets snared, unfortunately. marinelord is pushing on out. Archer's still getting good value. He's picking off donsos left, right, and centre. The archers are backing away, but this is all buying time for marinelord. All those donsos as a front shield stops the horseman diving on in. Oh, but donsos may be overextending a little bit here. He might not be left with too many. The town centre firing at them. Archers firing at them. He's run too far. lucifron is losing too many of those donsos. That's going to allow the horsemen to push on out. And the horsemen, if they get on top of the javelin throwers, regardless of them being veteran units, they will take them down. Now this is not looking great for lucifron. He's having to back away, although he does run into another batch of 5 donsos here, marinelord, so he needs to be careful not to overextend himself. But again, the economy really going to be starting to rip roaring. He's trying to get an outpost in that forward position to buy himself some more time as a good static defense. Doesn't quite have the stone for an emplacement, but if he can get an emplacement, that's going to really solidify his position. Archers having to back away. Does get the tower up in the end. It's going to garrison us a couple of archers to get the arrow fire off, and now things are going to become really tricky for lucifron to push on out. It's getting survival techniques for the food coming in from the deer camp. But the big concern is that village lead building up from marinelord. It's a very, very strong defensive masterclass play as the Abbasids. Even taking the barriers on the east side. Taking all the resources he can that he needs to. Bear in mind, we're heading to the approach of the timing phase where actually lucifron can't just rely on pocket economies. He might need a farming transition or cow transition soon. That means the steam will run out in terms of military production. That only is going to favour marinelord. Donso numbers still pretty healthy. Archers focusing on them as much as they can. Javelin throwers not in many numbers actually, to be fair, so he should be able to one-shot an archer, but you know, still needing a bit more. marinelord happy to retreat a little bit more ground. Backs off to the town centre. He's got his forward outpost. And he's getting arrow slits as well. This is such a great play by marinelord. Securing up that forward position. He's able to take out the berries. Able to take the deer camp, but now lucifron, whilst he was trying to torch down the town centre earlier on, now he has to be sufficed. He has to suffice with trying to take down the outpost. The outpost will go down in the end, but again, find great time for marinelord. He's got a decent number of archers. Villagers need to back away. There's actually a decent dive here from lucifron. He's killing quite a few horsemen with the donsos. I wonder if marinelord has enough. He just has to hold on as best he can. Struggling to get to the next stage though. He's slowly working his way through. As going Tilke, javelin throwers are very strong in the situation, but he needs to make sure the donso numbers stay alive, otherwise those horsemen will jump right on top of them. This is a masterclass by Marinelord, how to buy time in Age of Empires 4. If you thought time was a precious resource, well it is. Marinelord has found out a way to keep buying out time. It's going to get another outpost. And a significant villager lead as time goes on. That's going to play a big role. Bear in mind though, lucifron does have one of the relics already garrisoned inside, one more coming along the way. It's got 3 pit mines, potentially could take up some more. So he's getting some passive resource generation as we speak. Whether it's enough to counter the villager deficit, I'm not so sure it is, but... Oh, horse is about to dive on in, managed to back away in time, because he needs to take out the Donso numbers first. There's a lot of Donsos there for lucifron though, in his credit. Jumping on in. There's still not enough javelin throwers really, it seems. Now, if Marinelord can take out Donso numbers, the horseman will dive on once again. He's just baiting in, never gets hit though. Javelin throwers, they're not in great numbers anymore. The malians definitely on the defensive. That's not really where they want to be, but he's being forced into it. All the horsemen dive in here. Maybe it was a little bit prematurely, I'm not so sure. Donso's getting huge value. Another batch of Donso's head on in as well. He's taking the fight though, Marinelord. He's feeling confident that his economy is scaling better. I don't blame him, because it probably is. Now Marinelord keeps on spamming out units. He's trying his best to keep up. And lucifron is struggling actually in a big way. It feels like it's full feudal age. Did he even click? He's not going for castle age. He's going straight full feudal age pressure. Gotta be careful though, because it doesn't feel like he can keep that up forever. Because lucifron, when he does start to build up more units, he has just better straight up units with the veterancy upgrades. But Marinelord, not enough food in the bank. He's having a hard farming transition. We talked about this earlier in the stage of the game on the cast, right? How when both players need to start farming, it's going to be a massive delay, or at least pause on the military production. It looks like Marinelord is relying on that just now. But lucifron probably will be there relying on that too soon enough. He's got 800 wood in the bank to transition onto farms if he needs to. Doesn't have really the goal to get a cow boom going. I was just itching a bit further forward here from Marinelord just to see what value they can get. He's pushing on in. Horseman trying to get on top of the javelin throwers. Archers focusing on the Donsos in a really good way actually. He's actually picking off quite a bit. Javelin throwers never feel comfortable to really take the fight. Oh, does snare a couple of the horsemen. Horseman numbers aren't looking too great now for Marinelord, but again, once again, lucifron just being outdone by numbers, and I think really at this point Marinelord just has to idle production for just for a moment. And then he will be able to afford that castle age with a greater economy. He's pushing on in. Donsos, they've had enough. They're going to try and push on forward, but once they do, I mean, the archers are going to pick them off. He's added a couple of software actually, which is pretty decent for the malians, I've got to say. It's probably the right unit he needs. It would be difficult for Marinelord to counter that without getting to the castle age himself, and it looks like he might be teeing that up, but we've said that once again. How's it going, Zion Zam? Hope you're doing well, buddy. He's actually managed to get 2 sacred sites as well, so good gold income should be coming in for lucifron. He's got 3 relics already. Possibly should be sneaking in a 4th. Sofa diving on in, but it doesn't feel like he's got quite enough, especially with 2 outposts that are garrisoned inside. Town Center could be garrisoned as well. Looks like that's happening in. The Sofa being sacrificed for now. Archer's getting good value on the Donsos. lucifron maybe overextending here a little bit. He's losing everything. Horseman going to dive on the javelin throwers. Leave the Sofa to be dealt with by the towers. 2 more Sofa jumping on in. Javelin throwers were left relatively exposed, but the Donsos get a good hit on the horseman. Archers focusing on Donsos. Another batch of 5 Donsos. Marinelord has to back away. He loses 2 cavalry units on the retreat. Maybe lucifron is not out of this just yet. In fact, he's coming in with another big push, and he's got 2 sacred sites. Maybe sacred site victory could be on the cards for him. That's something that's a possibility. He keeps on pushing on in. He doesn't care about the outposts in the town centres. He's taking the fight. Villagers being backed away, but Marinelord up to 100 villagers. Granted, 12 of them are idled right now, but they're getting value by killing enemy units. There's a good 30 villagers ahead here. 34 villagers to be exact. And he even has some camel archers. He's spending everything he's getting though, marinelord. And it's crazy how he's managing to survive in the feud age for so long. But ultimately, he kind of is forced to this, because if he does try and take up, I mean, he might be overrun. He's adding in a couple of spearmen as well, with the phalanx upgrade most likely, and that's going to add in a lot of dynamics to this fight. And it looks like lucifron having to back away, only now getting the eco upgrades. For the castle age, at least. That's another dimension that lucifron will be winning on, at least in terms of this match. But the concern is the villager lead, right? So lucifron is a good 37 villagers behind. That's a lot of resources coming on in for marinelord. As we can see, plenty of food coming on in, plenty of wood. Not as much gold, to be fair. Of course, you've got passive generation for the malians, but it's not really something that the abbasid dynasty are relying on. It doesn't need gold at this point. You can't spend gold at this point, really. Apart for some upgrades. In fact, speaking of phalanx, that's actually what's coming in now. Can increase the attack range of spearmen by 100%. Can be able to fight along the shoulders of their brethren. Now, could wood become an issue? Looks like actually maybe marinelord might start running out of wood. He's going to have to rely on these weird trees. Not really much of a wood line. Maybe it goes to the east side. Potentially, Soffer diving on in. Garrisons inside the town centre to try and keep as many villagers safe and secure as possible. But Soffer numbers looking decent, but there's a lot of spearmen coming in from marinelord. Despite being castle age units, they cannot do well against the spearmen. Oh no, he's engaging in lucifron. The Soffer mass on the front line going to be dying pretty quickly. Just too many spearmen to be sniped. But the jump throw is making some good work out of this. But marinelord, again, still being able to hold on. And the longer he holds on with his stronger villager number, he should be able to click up to the next stage. What will he go up with? Will it be the culture wing? Quite possibly. There it is. Yeah, it will be the culture wing. We'll be able to get preservation of knowledge and then take up with cheaper costing eco upgrades, or any upgrade really. Horseman diving on in. Good number of ranged units of the malians, which is actually posing a little bit tricky for the abbasid dynasty to deal with. Bear in mind though, when he does get to the next stage, if he's got enough wood, if he's got enough gold, he could potentially start building some mangonels, which will certainly be helpful. So for diving on in, but a decent number of spearmen, he can't really dive in clearly here. The malians always has to go back and forth to allow the range units to do damage. But the trouble is that, you know, two towers, the town centre, they're all getting value in the meantime, and it feels like a really hard push here for lucifron. He does have wedge rivets, which obviously goes a long way. With culture wing coming in soon for marinelord and the abbasids, if these units become veteran, this is going to be a tricky one, especially with composite bows for the archers. Especially if there's going to get any heavily armoured units as well. Maybe a couple of camels just to get the camel debuff on the cavalry here, 20%. Thanks, Zions. Yeah, yep. Thank you. I'm having a good day. Hope you're having a great day as well. Oh, here come the rams now. marinelord is going to be up against a ram push soon. And to be fair, he could probably use the villagers to torch them down, because, I mean, ultimately you don't necessarily want to do that if they get sniped off. But if they do, I mean, marinelord ultimately has got two town centres. He's got a large villager lead. Just needs to make sure the siege doesn't take his infrastructure down. Here's that castle age. It's in now. Maybe now is go time for lucifron. Feels like he's planning on that. And so for diving on in, he is getting some value, some kills. Archer numbers looking actually pretty decent here. Veteran archers mind, and here's the first mangonel. That's definitely going to help here in this pushback. Maybe if you can get a second one, that'll be ideal. He loses the first tower. Oh, mangonel needs to be protected, so if we're going to try and dive on top of that, doesn't quite manage it. Good number of spearmen there to help, and look at this, Gulam being added in now. This is where things become really tricky for lucifron and the Malians. The Gulam numbers build up. Oh, it takes a massive shot on those archers. Oh god, even with poison arrow. Jeez, there's a massive shot taken. Mangonel got its worth already. Try and take down the second town centre. He's pumping out units. Another massive mangonel shot. Oh god, he's losing units big time. Lucifron tanking right behind that town centre. No, he might lose the town centre. He is being focused on those rams. Looks like Lucifron just doesn't have the unit numbers coming on the right side with the suffer. He's got 53 military, to be fair. He's got more than marinelord has. Here comes another mangonel. Lost one. He's replaced instantaneously almost. Marinelord starting to push back a little bit, which is actually a dangerous sign. Now that Marinelord's in the castle age, does still have the sacred site timer here, lucifron. Gulam running on in, trying to capture, get right up to them, but can't quite manage it just yet. He's holding his line. Marinelord feels confident he's got a greater economy. We've got full population though, so the malians will start to catch up on that, and the early eco advantage that marinelord has had, the significance of that will start to diminish as the malians do start to equalize the villager count. Spearman, oh, he's getting great value. Took out so many software in a blink of an eye. Those spearmen did so much damage with the phalanx upgrade. Lucifron just mismicroing that a little bit, even loses a springboard on the retreat, and this could be a massive push now for marinelord. He is looking ready to go. Archers, spearmen, gulam, lancers, crossbow, mangonels. There's almost nothing that he doesn't have here. Marinelord is going to snipe out another siege engine, maybe? Oh, villagers didn't come out to repair. I thought for a second the springboard would be repaired. He does lose the mangonel to a couple of those Musafadi warriors in the stealth, but these archer numbers looking way too good, and I think composite bow is just about to come in. That might be the final nail in the coffin. Lucifron, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. He taps up. Doesn't even need composite bows there in the end, marinelord. And he takes the game on coastal cliffs with a great defensive masterclass for the Abbasid dynasty. Hope you guys enjoyed this on YouTube. If you did, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Take care, and see you next time.